Thank you, Jessica. Welcome to the, I think it's the 7th Casual Connect, the 4th one in Hamburg. And since it's an intimate setting, I thought I start, before I start with our journey through the world of games and what we have done, with a bit of personal. So I'll tell you a small story about myself. So my father is a dentist. And after my school, when I was 18, I had a choice whether I should become a dentist, because I had a practice, everything was available, was done, many clients, ready business, easy. So I spent a week at my father's practice, and after, basically on the second day, I realized that I already knew what I would do over the next 30 years and after 30 years. So life was extremely predictable. And that was an incredible turnoff. Now I'm doing King.com. We started a company in 2003 with some friends. I'm doing this since 8 years, and I still don't know what is actually happening next year. It's still full with surprises. So, and I think this is how I would like to open the conference, saying that it has been a journey. It's an incredible journey of discovery. And I think that this discovery, I'm not alone in this. I think that most people who actually are developing games or are somehow in the business of games have been in this and are feeling probably it in a similar way, that there are so many changes every year. So it's not so much about what you do next year, but it's about being prepared, seeing opportunities, trying opportunities, and also making mistakes. And I will show you some of the things we have done. And I will, of course, you will see that a few things which I'm saying here, or most things I'm saying here, actually are seen from my personal view, or how we have lived them. But you may also see some of your histories behind. So we started in 2003. The world until 2007 was actually very, I would say, comfortable. Yeah, it was like being in the prairie on a horse and taking your cows to basically on the ground. And if you had a game and you had a good game, the way to distribute this game was through large portals. And so we went to Yahoo, we went to AOL, we went to MSN, and made agreements to distribute and put our games on the games channel of these portals. And in the US, Pogo was very large, so we also tried to get on Pogo. And the models at the time were mainly downloads, the download business model, subscription, and where the offering was free, advertising. But it wasn't working so well. It was actually not delivering the same returns as, or lifetime values as download and subscription. But the industry started to become more crowded and more competitive intense. The prices for downloads went from $19.99 to $9.99 to $4.99 to $3.99. I checked the site, one of the sites the other day, $2.99. And one of the reasons was that suddenly some small technical changes happened. And the speed at which things were happening suddenly became much, much faster. Yeah? So it was not good enough now to do the same things you were doing yesterday. You had to do something different. And initially, we didn't realize actually what was happening, because the traffic went away quite fast from the sources where we were on, from the portals. And this is, as you imagine, as you have probably experienced, the reason behind. Facebook was launched in 2006, but it really changed the trajectory in 2008. And you see, it's basically a 45-degree trajectory, and now it's at 850 million users per month. And most of them actually are coming back every day. And so you've seen this chart, the top 10 games. What were the top 10 games back at the time? Top 10 games were all resource management games. But what I thought was interesting is the following. You see here in the red box the percentage of females. So this is percentage males, percentage female. So for example, Farmville had in 2010 57.96% of female. And Farmville had around 80 million players at the time. Another game here, number 7, Cafe World, had 67%, and it goes up to 90% with Sorority Live from Playdom. So what happened? Suddenly, this is, as you recognize, is the typical casual games audience. The female over 25, the housewife, which before was playing casual games on Yahoo or on Pogo, suddenly they were playing within Facebook. And if you were not there, they were not playing your games. But these games did also some other things. So I tried to basically compare what happened now, or in what way did social games do something different from casual games. So if you look, for example, Diner Dash, it looks very similar to Cafe World. So I'll do this looking at Cityville, which is the most successful game so far with over 100 million players per month. First of all, they took advantage of all the tools which the platform was offering. So, of course, they were on Facebook, so they grew with the platform. But then the platform also was virally facilitating to find these games through these postings. So you could see which games your friends were playing. Secondly, we all remember how difficult it was to actually convince users to give us their email. So they had to register, giving us usually a fake username. They were then choosing a password. And then they were usually giving us a wrong email so that when you tried to reach them again, actually the email bounced back. So here, one click, you not only get the user data, so all his email and his real name, but you also get the same data for all his friends. And it was a massive change. And this made inviting friends much, much easier. Again, not even a click. And then not only that, but you could also play with your friends. Even if they were not physically or online at that moment in time, you could see the friends basically passing by, and you could also see what they had done. It was very easy not only for inviting friends, but it was fantastic for reactivation, because you could send them an invitation and they would see, please send me a gift back, and so you would reactivate them, and having a much higher frequency of play. But then they also they took the learnings from casual games, making games even easier than what casual games were, by bringing to the extreme the step-by-step tutorials. So it's really a one-click process, and you have to go to the next click. Otherwise, you can't proceed. Further on, the tasking, again, learnings from casual games, done very, very well, and an appointment economy, where you have to wait until the house is built, and some of these objects are built within 15 minutes. Some objects are built in 24 hours, so you have to come back tomorrow. And then they added a new model, and this was actually very smart, because before there was always a business model behind where you had to pay upfront, and it was always a barrier where you lose many, many, many users. In this case, they took away the barrier. There was no barrier anymore. You can continue playing as long as you want, but you have to wait. So you have to come back tomorrow. If you don't want to come back tomorrow, you have to deliver some value. So either you pay or you invite some friends. So I'm going to either get some cash now or I'm saving on marketing costs. So sorry for many of you, or for some of you, this will be all very well known, but I thought that I show you this because I will show you afterwards what we have done with these learnings. Back in January 2010, this was the ranking. You had number 1 Farmville, Cafe World, Fishville, Happy Aquarium, Mafia Wars, etc. 9 out of 10 were resource management games, so with the exception of poker. It's interesting to see what happens now a year later. January 2011, we have actually the first casual game popping up on the charts. It was Bejeweled Blitz on number 5. Very good job. Well, it's interesting because, as we saw before, the audience is fundamentally a casual games audience, so it's no big surprise. Actually, it's more a surprise why didn't they come up before. But if you look a year later, actually last month, the ranking was this. Suddenly, 5 out of 10 games were classic casual games. In fact, Hidden Chronicles was a mix of a casual game, the hidden object game, with elements of the resource management game. Why is that? I believe one of the key reasons is that users need change. It's a media industry, so you want to see something new. And the user has been bored of more of the same. All the games look the same. So now they're looking into other genres of games, genres they used to play before. One of these, number 7, Bubble Witch Saga, is the largest game after Zynga. All the first 6 are all Zynga games. And per combination, it's our game. So we became number 7, I think, in the space of 2.5 months from launch. And we started our venture on Facebook in April of last year, and now we are number 4. So everything went really, really fast. I'm going to show you what we did. A bit of the secret sauce behind. What have we done? We took the learnings from the past, and we combined these learnings with one of our casual games. The pros and the cons of being an old company and having started back in 2003 is that over the many years we developed 160 casual games, all internally, and we own these games. So we know what games work well and what games work less well. So we took one of the games which worked well, and we started with a game called Love Me, and we changed the name in Bubble Saga. And we added to it, and we put this game in a framework, in a social framework, which we call the Saga Framework. So what is the Saga Framework? I'm going to show you in a moment. I'm going to show you this on the base of Bubble Witch Saga, which is the game you saw before on number 7. The first thing we did is we worked on the game itself. So we made the game even easier, taking the learnings from before by implementing step-by-step instructions, really one click to understand how the game works. Number 2, we added all the functionalities of the platform. So we introduced the one-click registration, which you saw before. We added all the functionality where you can invite your friends. And this is, for example, the invitation. And you don't just say invite your friends, we say ask your friends for help. So I send lives to my friends, I give them a gift, and in return for that, I also receive a gift. And then we added a storyline. So you would play the game you saw before within a story mode, going from step to step. And so you would progress from step number 1, step number 2, 3, 4, etc., along this path. And along this path, we also added tasks which you had to achieve. Like, for example, in this case, to collect 70 stars. You see here I collected only 52. To unlock the level, I need to collect other stars. And then we added the model, which was before, the business model. So you receive 5 lives, and when you want to progress from one level to the next, in order to progress, you need to achieve a minimum score. If you don't achieve the minimum score, you fail the level, you lose a life. You have 5 lives. Once you lose the 5 lives, you either come back tomorrow, you invite your friends, or you pay for new lives. And we added a fourth model to that. We added here a small button, and we are still in a phase of experimentation, which is earn a life by watching video ads. So this is a way how you can make advertising actually user-friendly, because suddenly you give something for free, watching videos. So this is the beginning, as we know. The launch is the first phase. And then post-launch. So we started with 70 levels, and after the launch, we started analyzing what levels worked well, what game patterns were most challenging, more fun to play for the users. And we did more of the same. So now we have now more than 140 levels, and they were developed post-launch in continuous releases. And I'll show you here some other work which we have done post-launch. So what is very important is the balancing of the levels, so that it's not too difficult, it's not too easy, it's challenging, you can progress, but you still want to pay in order to continue, or you want to invite your friends. And this is a very fine balance, which requires the work of someone who understands gamers and a lot of art. But it also requires science, and actually you can improve the art a lot by adding science to it. And I'll show you a bit of science. And you will see that actually it's all about common sense. So it's not about, some black boxes. So this is an example. Now we optimized levels 8 and 9. What you see here is that the player on level 6, we have 5% of players at level 6, which get stuck at level 6. Then they continue at level 7. We have 3% of players who are stuck here. At level 8, we have 26% of players. Level 9, 28% of players. And then at level 10, 4%. And if you continue, only 3% of players actually manage to get to level 14. So what does it mean? It means that we have a problem. Because if these guys get stuck here and they cannot progress, then the game, the retention is lower, the monetization is lower, etc., etc. So what have we done? We looked at level 9. And so we analyzed and saw that actually it's a fun level, so there's nothing wrong with it. Technically, everything is fine. The instructions are fine. But it's actually quite aggressive in terms of target score I need to achieve. You see here my score in the bottom, and I need to be here. And so it was quite aggressive in terms of minimum score I need to reach. And we did some more analysis, and in fact, 84% of the level fails were due to not reaching the minimum score to pass the level. So again, common sense, what do? We tried several things, but the first thing we tried, and it worked, and I'll show you after the results, was to lower the score. So here's the result. Suddenly, we saw level 9, only 14% got stuck there. And actually, suddenly, it's like opening a dam. It flows. And so level 14, we have 31% now reaching level 14. First example. I'll show you some other examples later. This is very important. So, we moved development to the Scrum process. This is a nice moment when you see that everything is on the done side. But this is actually where work really starts again. So after launch, you have a new process set up, and then we have bi-weekly release schedules where we release continuously new functionality. Another example with Hoop the Loop. Hoop the Loop is our 4th Saga game, which we released last week. So it's brand new, and we're still testing it. So I'll show you some of the tests we're doing. Again, we have the Saga Framework, where you have the landscape. This time, it's a different landscape. It's a virtual world, three-dimensional world, where you have to progress, and you can see your friends along the way. And on each of these levels, you play a game, and this is a well-known casual game format. So you have a train, and the train goes down, and you have to stop the train to go down in the hole by shooting at the bubbles and building new jewels, and then you collect points. The model, again, is the model where you either pay to buy lives. You have 5 lives. You either pay to buy new lives, or you ask your friends to send you lives, in which case you get the lives for free, or you come back tomorrow. We have not added yet the button video ads because the game is new. So before doing that, we want first to build the audience, and then we will add it later. And we added another functionality to this, which we are experimenting with, and it's the following. We added the boosters. So what we do is that in order to progress, you can add to your gameplay boosters which make your gameplay easier. So for example, one of these boosters is the reverse ball, which reverses the cycle of the train. So instead of marching towards the hole, you click on this booster and the train goes backwards, and you have more time. And you have to craft this booster by using gems which you create by playing the game. So if you're a bit lazy or you're not so good, what you can do is you can actually buy this booster, or you can actually collect these gems which you need to craft the boosters by asking your friends. So again, the economy of either buying or inviting your friends. We're testing this, and so I will be able to tell you more next year. Again, here, it's very easy to ask for jewels with all the functionalities behind. And this is the optimization we did here in the first days on Hoop the Loop. Slightly different optimization from the one you saw before, but similar principle. So here we saw that the users got stuck at level 4. In fact, 50% of the players got stuck there. And you see that only less than 10% managed to go through here at level 5 and after. So what did we do? There were different possible alternatives of the reasons behind. We could have basically lowered the score target as before, or we could have reduced the speed of the train, or we could have introduced new levels to give more time to learn how to play the game. But the reason why, which we found out, was that the instructions were not clear enough. The instructions before were here in the bottom, and they were in the game, but they were in the bottom, and no one really understood what they had to do, that they had to click twice on this hole. So this is what we did. We tried several different alternatives, and this is the winning alternative. So we had the picture with very clear instruction, very short instructions of what they would do, what they would need to do. And this is the result post. So after implementing it, we saw that, again, the dam was opened up, and the users were flowing again. This is the impact of it, of 3 games we launched. So we started with our first Saga game in April, basically here. This was Bubble Saga. Bubble Saga took us, this was before the summer, took us, I think, to number 10 on the largest game developers on Facebook by June. In June, before the summer, before the terrible Swedish summer where everyone goes away on vacation, it's difficult to hold people, we launched Mahjong Saga, which was a niche game for a niche audience of Mahjong players. And in fact, it became the largest Mahjong game on Facebook. And then post-summer, in October, we launched Bubble Witch Saga, and by, I think, the middle of December, we were already number 4. And now we have 6.5 million daily uniques on Facebook, and 4.5 million people play Bubble Witch Saga every day. The good news is that those are only 3 games from our portfolio out of the 160 games. Actually, there is one missing because now we just launched last week, as I said, Hoop the Loop, so actually there are 4 games which we launched. So it's actually, again, quite, now it's almost business as usual. Now we can go through our list of games. We take from our portfolio of games the other games, and that's what we're currently doing. And in order to do that, we don't know basically how to cope with all this work. We doubled our team from 100 people in the last 7 months. Now we are 200 people. But life is not enough now to run at the speed of before. If we want to take opportunities, we have to run at a different speed. We have to fly. And if you don't fly right, if you don't catch the opportunities, actually you may find some other surprises. So again, you are either in or you're out, and it's better that you run fast enough. So, as you know, we are in the middle now of major changes again from a platform perspective. Last year, there were more smartphones sold than baby born. But more interestingly, there were more smartphones sold worldwide for the first time than feature phones. 500 million smartphones last year. And games is the #1 category of all apps. I went to Singapore. I passed by Singapore after Christmas. And I don't know, has anyone been to Singapore over the last 2 months? Yeah, you've been. So if you were at the airport, you remember that you could buy with your Visa card. You could shop at the airport, and if you were shopping more than, I think, 120 Singapore dollars, you would receive an Angry Bird bird for free, and it was everywhere. Yeah? So games now are mainstream. It's not anymore, a niche product for young males playing on a console. it's a product for everyone. It's mainstream. It's in our everyday life. Everyone has a phone. And now everyone will have a smartphone. And 64% of people in the US already use a smartphone to play games. Another change in our everyday life, who has an iPad or a tablet here in this room? Okay, can I ask, please, hold your hands up for a second. Thank you. Who is using this tablet to surf at home? Okay, everyone? And now I would like to ask, who is now using the PC for surfing at home as much as before? Anyone? Okay. Well, I don't know. I can tell you about my experience. And PCs, actually, I can tell you first the stats. The public stats is that PC usage has reduced by 22% in all homes or for all users who use a tablet. I personally think it's going to be even more dramatic than that once you don't need anymore a PC to actually use your tablet, which is now the case. Second big change is Amazon. And like Amazon, I think that others will also come afterwards. So Amazon, for me, it was surprising when I prepared this speech. It was surprising to me to find out that actually Apple sold, in brackets, only 60% of all tablets sold last year. 40% of tablets were actually Android tablets. And 36% of the Android tablets sold in January were Android tablets sold by Amazon. So Amazon took away 50% of the market share from Samsung, from the Galaxy, which before used to have almost 70% in the previous year. And what they have done is, number one, very aggressive pricing, $199, everyone can afford. And number two, adding to this very compelling price offering, content. So it's a medium to use content. This is going to revolutionize the market because suddenly this will open up this to everyone. It's not anymore the expensive device which costs $600 or $700 to buy. It's a device which everyone can afford to buy. And it's rich with content. They have 19 million movies available on this. This is the impact on monetization. You know, we know that iOS actually works really well in terms of monetization, and we also know that Android works less well. But with Amazon, it works better. In fact, Amazon works 2.5 times better than the normal Android phone or Android tablet, with basically 1 to 2.5. And the reason is that all users are connected, are basically payers. Every user having an Amazon tablet is a payer because they either have to give a credit card when they open up the account or they have to connect their account to the Amazon account. Some other interesting facts. So 70% of the revenues generated with apps, with games, are generated by freemium games, where the game is freemium, is a free game, and then you buy in the game, you buy additional boosters, etc., etc. And this is the structure of the users playing freemium games. It's not anymore the young guy playing games on the mobile. So the majority of players are over 78% of players are over 25 years. And if you see from the distribution, these are the bars in pink are the female users. It's actually very equilibrated. And I believe that these stats, these Flurry stats, when they will be updated in a year from now, will most likely show that there are actually more female players than male players. And this will go along with lower prices for tablets. And again, it's a casual audience. So if you're not there, if you don't offer your games on a tablet or on a mobile phone for these users, they may not play your games tomorrow. This is why we have to speed up. So one of the challenges is to be found. This is a picture of the marathon in San Diego. This is the largest marathon in the world. It has around 500,000 people competing every year. You may guess how many apps there are now in the iOS App Store combination. There are 500,000 apps. This is the statistics in November of last year. So now imagine you are one of these guys competing here. You are somewhere, where are we? Somewhere here maybe? But you want to be one of these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. Because if you are not one of these 10 guys, chances are that you may never be seen. You may come up with the best game in the world, but you may never be seen. So, and this is something which, we are in the phase of launching the game, so I will be able to give you more of our insights in the future. I'll give you our first insights based on a few tests we have done with the game. Before that, one of the interesting ways to be discoverable, again, and to close the loop, is actually Facebook. Facebook is the #1 application on smartphones. It's the #1 application, free application on the iOS smartphones, and is #1 application on Android smartphones. There are 425 million people using Facebook on their mobile device every month, i.e. 50% of the Facebook users. What does it do? They added some new functionality whereby if you go on your Facebook profile, and you can see there the large picture, and you scroll in the navigation bar, you can actually see here the games which you are playing on Facebook. So even though I have not downloaded the game on my iPhone, I can still see them here. And then when I click on the game, if I have not installed it, I'm linked directly to the page in the iOS store where I can install the game. So this basically increases discoverability. And for Facebook, this is the #1 priority this year, and last year is growing on mobile. Of course, they still need to resolve the big war or struggle on how they can make money on mobile, since in this case, when they link to the iOS store, they don't see a penny because Apple takes 30% and they take 0. And they are betting very strongly on HTML5. And so we all in this room need also to work and experiment with HTML5, which we are doing. This is the impact of that small little change which Facebook did on our test game. So we launched Minor Speed, which was one of the first tests we did on Facebook. It has a couple of 100,000 players every day. And it was basically running at this rate. We launched it on the iOS store. Suddenly, Facebook launched this additional functionality. This is the curve which it did. Small little change. Then we didn't take care much of the game, and the game usage went down again because this is where you use your audience. Your audience reaches and sees that you are available on Facebook. They install your game. These are all installs. And then after a while, of course, you go through, basically your users install the game, and then it goes down again. This was without any advertising. I'll show you another game. This is Zynga. They are doing a fantastic job. And they acquired a new toy back in 2010. And they are now introducing a different set of games, casual games, through this acquisition. And this is actually very interesting. Both games actually are very successful, both Word with Friends and Scramble with Friends. This is Scramble with Friends. And it's basically a word game, and you can play in almost real time. It's turn-based with your friends, wherever they are, whether they're on Facebook or whether they are on your mobile. And this is the growth, which is, of course, a combination of also Zynga's muscles in terms of reach, but more and more, a bigger role will also play the discoverability through Facebook. So basically from 0, they went in a few weeks now to one of the top games in the App Store. So to summarize our strategy, and our strategy may be different from your strategy, but our strategy is we believe that in order to have a home run, you have to play on all bases. So we play on the web, where we have a portfolio of 160 games offered with a tournament model. And that's where we launch continuously new games. We launch about 20 new games per year. And high-quality games, but they are much quicker to develop than a social game, which is much deeper. And so there we know what games work. And then the best games, we port these games to Facebook with more depth, putting this social framework around the game. And when we build the reach, the user base on Facebook, then we launch to these users the same game also on mobile. So before launching the game on mobile, we wait first to build the user base on Facebook. And the order is we launch first on Android and then on iOS. And the reason why we do that is that on iOS, there are weekly cycles. So if you have a bug, you are stuck with a bug for a week. You cannot experiment so fast. On iOS, we can experiment much faster. So we can experiment basically instantly. And so we can optimize and improve the game. And when the game is ready to launch, is optimized, then we launch it in the iOS store. What we have also done is we have built a platform. We call it Plataforma. And Plataforma is very, very powerful because what we do is we are trying not to reinvent the wheel every time. It's like a Lego structure where all pieces are actually standardized. And so only the front end is game specific. But all the pieces which you saw before, which use the Facebook functionality, are standardized and built within Plataforma by a specific Plataforma team and not by the game teams. This allows us, we started with a studio in Stockholm, now we opened up a studio in Romania, we opened up a studio in Poland, we opened up a second studio in Sweden, in Malmö, in the south of Sweden, and we're considering opening up another studio to get talent. But this allows us to have a high quality of output and high speed and low risk of implementation by not having to reinvent the wheel every time and by having a very robust infrastructure. At the same time, it also has another advantage because all user data are actually on one database. This means I don't care if the user is on a mobile, if the user is on the web, if a user is on a game on Bubblewitch Saga or on Bubble Saga on Facebook. I actually know what the user is doing wherever he is. And so I can optimize. I know that this user has in this game, and now I offer him this other game, and maybe he likes to play this mobile game, etc., etc. The fundament behind, of course, is that you have good games and that you have the best talent. And this is where we are focusing now 120% of our efforts. And this is something which I'm trying to build in the company based on my experience, and it's also an advice which I can give. And it closes a bit the cycle from before. And basically my advice is try to build a company based on the love for the opportunity, where there is no fear of failing. So this is something which I think is very important in what we do, because we will fail, and failure is normal. And if we don't fail, then this means we're not running fast enough. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Riccardo.
Thank you.
So we have a few minutes for questions. We have about 5 minutes for questions. You know, I did want to make a comment. I recognized something when you were doing your presentation that I don't think I've ever really clicked with me before. You may be wrong about your business model. You know, you said the whole was a wait, pay, promote, but I'm actually thinking that the business model might be put a cute, sad animal in your game.
I agree, actually, it's very important.
Yeah, so it might be that little cute raccoon. I wanted to run up there and go, oh, poor little guy. Any questions for Riccardo? Oh, you got the mic already. Great.
Yeah, I do.
Wow, you're efficient. Good job, Tatiana.
Well done. So, you were showing these amounts of failure rates, like when the players got stuck in certain places. What to your company and you are like the acceptable failure rates? Because we saw something with 50%, then you said that you made certain changes and they dropped down to 20. So what is that sort of acceptable failure rate still?
It's not failure rate.
Or stuck rate?
It's difficult to give an answer. Ideally, you would actually want everyone to be able to progress, and you don't want anyone to get stuck on a specific level. You want people to be engaged with that level, but ultimately to pass to the next level. But the reality is that you will always have, a large part of people which will, play up to an initial level, and then afterwards you have those guys who actually are more into playing games, and they will continue. So, it's very difficult to give you an answer without looking exactly at the game, at what level it is. But fundamentally, the target is to bring, as usual before, where 31% of the players were reaching level 14, the target is to bring all these users. So I think that in your aim, you should aim to have as many users as possible going to the end.
It seemed like in those graphs you were looking for spikes.
Yeah.
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 While she's running the mic over to this gentleman over here, I had a question for you about virality. So you started and you launched some games on Facebook, and you talked a lot about inviting friends, and there has been quite a bit of talk over the last couple of years about how virality doesn't work anymore.
Yep.
Is that your experience?
Well, I think that we went through the hard school. So we went through the hard school of the web, where virality is 0. And you know how difficult it is to tell the user, now please send an email to your friends. You give them even bonuses to do so, and you get only maybe a percent. So for us, it was a very positive. We came after Facebook had reduced the virality, and for us it was fantastic. So and now actually Facebook is improving virality again. So we never saw a problem with virality from that perspective.
Go ahead.
Yeah, one question. And you show us the opportunity in some games to click and earn a bonus watching a video. If it's possible to know how much this is impacting your game in terms of revenue and percentage, and how it's going to work in the moment that your game will be discovered through Facebook in mobile. You show us that now a very big change is the fact that when you are playing on Facebook, you will be redirect to the game and you can download the game. If you think this video so opportunity will be extended to other your games, and especially if will be possible to extend it also on games that are played on Facebook.
On mobile, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first question is regarding the impact of adding the button. The impact actually, we haven't had any negative impact on gameplay, because those are users who don't want to play, and actually it's easing their life. What we are now experimenting with is adding a post-view video. So not just that you click on basically to get some value for it, but also that after, for example, 3 games, we show you a post-view ad. And we are still experimenting. So there is some impact, but the question is how negative is the impact versus the value of these ads. And we will show this only to users who are not paying after so and so many days. And this is still in test. So I cannot give you an answer on that one. But the answer for the example you saw before is that it has no negative impact. And in fact, since I know that you are coming from the video industry, I would actually urge the industry to move to 50-second video ads instead of 30 seconds.
15 or 50?
15, 1-5. Yeah, so I know that...
one of the reasons why we, if I can answer, one of the reasons why we don't do that is because the industry leader in the pre-roll business is actually 15 seconds. So when we approach a client, we tell them pre-roll is not effective because in 15 seconds you cannot tell a story. So switch to a larger, 30-second, 50. I know they can be annoying for the user, but on the other side, this is what make a difference between investing there or investing in a pre-roll.
So let's have a discussion after this, because I had a discussion with RTL the other day, and they were saying 15 seconds videos were actually very effective, and definitely to have a positive user experience is much better, and that's what we also are testing.
Thank you.
So I think we have time for just one more question. Sorry, Nick.
I'd like to ask you, how do you get Facebook players? If you buy advertisements from Facebook or you use your online platform, what are the sources of players for you at Facebook?
Yeah, we do everything. So we do some marketing, we use our existing installed base outside, but the core focus of our activity is actually on the game, on the retention of the game. The key variable you have to focus on is not marketing, but is retention of your game. So, you know, second-day retention, seven-day retention, 30-day retention, etc. That's the key thing, you know, if you want to grow your user base.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much, Riccardo.
Thank you.